History tells us a simple story. The Middle Ages believed the Earth stood still at the center of the universe. Then came Galileo Galilei, telescope in hand, and shattered 1,000 years of ignorance. But what if that story is wrong? What if medieval scholars had already questioned the heavens, measured the stars, and debated Earth's place long before Galileo ever looked through a lens? Tonight, we revisit one of history's greatest confrontations, not between science and faith, but between memory and myth. Galileo Galilei has become a symbol, the lone genius, the martyr of science, the man who dared to say the Earth moves and paid the price. Yet history is rarely shaped by lone figures. Galileo did not rise from silence. He stepped into a conversation already centuries old. A conversation shaped by medieval sages, theologians, astronomers, philosophers, who wrestled with the same questions. Does the earth move or the heavens perfect? Can human reason read the language of God's creation? To understand Galileo's true revolution, we must first listen to the voices he inherited, and sometimes misunderstood. Contrary to popular belief, medieval Europe was not intellectually asleep. Universities flourished. Texts were copied, debated, and argued line by line. Astronomy was not forbidden. It was essential. Medieval scholars studied the heavens not for curiosity alone, but because the cosmos reflected divine order. They inherited Aristotle's model, Earth at the center, celestial spheres moving in perfect circles, the heavens eternal and unchanging. But inheritance does not mean obedience. Thomas Aquinas, the great theologian, insisted that faith and reason could not contradict each other, but neither could reason be silenced. Albertus Magnus, Aquinas' teacher, emphasized observation over blind acceptance. Jean Baradin, a 14th century philosopher, proposed something astonishing. What if the earth rotated daily instead of the heavens moving around it? He did not claim it was true, but he proved it was possible. That alone mattered. Medieval scholars were not asking what to believe. They were asking what could be true. The medieval cosmos was supposed to be perfect, but reality had other plans. Astronomers noticed irregular planetary motion. They calculated, recalculated, and corrected ancient models. The Ptolemaic system survived not because it was flawless, but because it worked well enough. Yet doubts grew. Medieval scholars introduced epicycles, mathematical corrections, alternative hypotheses, not rebellion refinement. Importantly, the church did not silence these debates. Universities hosted them. The heavens were sacred, yes, but they were also measurable. By the late Middle Ages, the intellectual ground was already shifting. Galileo would not start the earthquake, he would accelerate it. When Galileo was born in 1564, the medieval world had not vanished. Its questions lived on. Galileo's true weapon was not defiance, it was instrumentation. The telescope changed everything. Through it, Galileo saw mountains on the moon, sunspots staining the perfect sun-moons orbiting Jupiter. The heavens were not immutable, they were physical. This was not merely scientific, it was philosophical. If the heavens were imperfect, then Aristotle could be wrong. And if Aristotle could be wrong, authority itself became questionable. Here lies the real tension. Not Earth versus sun, but observation versus inherited certainty. The trial of Galileo is often portrayed as science versus religion. This is inaccurate. Many church scholars admired Galileo's work. Some agreed with his observations. The problem was interpretation. Galileo did not present heliocentrism as a hypothesis. He presented it as fact, before definitive proof existed. Worse, he mocked his opponents publicly. In an age where harmony between faith and knowledge was paramount, Galileo appeared reckless. The medieval sages had been cautious. Galileo was bold. Both sought truth, but they spoke different intellectual languages. The tragedy was not suppression of science. It was a collapse of dialogue. So who deserves the crown of revolution? The medieval sages, who preserved learning through centuries of instability, who debated motion, causality, and cosmology without instruments, who proved that questioning was not heresy, or Galileo, who trusted observation over tradition, who made the invisible visible, who forced philosophy to confront the material universe, the answer is uncomfortable. We need both. Without medieval foundations, Galileo would have had no language. Without Galileo's audacity, medieval debates might have remained abstract. History does not move by replacement, but by accumulation. The sky was never owned by the Middle Ages, nor was it conquered by Galileo. It was explored slowly, imperfectly, courageously, by generations who dared to ask questions larger than themselves. The real lesson is not that science triumphed over faith. It is that truth advances when humility meets curiosity. And perhaps the greatest myth of all is believing that enlightenment belongs to a single moment rather than a long, fragile human conversation. If this clash of minds reshaped how you see the past, explore the rest of Medieval Chronicles. Here, history is not silent. It debates. Subscribe and continue the conversation. From Medieval Chronicles,